Hey, what up, guys? Coming to you this morning doing the what's next on Josh Warrington, the undefeated IBF Featherweight champion. That's 126 pounds. He fought in the main event of an ESPN Plus card from the United Kingdom on Saturday, October 12th. He took on some nobody named, I think, Stefani Touche or something like that. He dominated him, second round TKO victory. It was an optional defense for Warrington. He's been trying to get, the big names to fight him and the other champions at 126, but he's been coming up short. So, the big question now is what's next for Josh Warrington? Well, it depends on who wants to fight him. I don't think he has a mandatory due next, but I do think he needs to, his mandatory is actually being decided right now. We know Kid Galahad, who he beat back in June, and what was kind of an ugly 12-round split decision. We know he's got to fight. Kid Galahad is in line to face Claudio Marrero in a contenders bout. They're in line to fight each other, and the winner is going to be the mandatory to Warrington's title. Now, Warrington does not want to fight Galahad again, so he's disappointed that that they made Galahad, put him in a final eliminator to fight for the world title again. But, that fight has not been finalized as of yet, and I think by the time it gets finalized, it probably won't happen until the end of the year. So I think Warrington is going to have to try to get another optional defense in before then, and I think he's going to go for a bigger fight. But, who's he going to go after? So let's run through the top 10 real quick at 126 and see if he can get any of the other champions in the ring. I'm going to start with number 1, Leo Santa Cruz, the WBA Super Champion. Well, Santa Cruz is moving out of 126 now. He's moving up to 130. He's already got his next fight signed for the Deontay Wilder undercard on November 23rd. And it was PBC against ESPN anyways, and is obviously a fight that the PBC was not interested in making, so this fight's not going to happen. Warrington's obviously my number 2. Number 3 is WBC champion Gary Russell. Another PBC guy. Russell's always complaining about fighting the best fighters, but for some reason he doesn't want to fight Josh Warrington. So, Warrington's called him out. Warrington said he'll fight him. Again, this is PBC and Top Rank working together. That's always an obstacle, but if the two guys really wanted to fight, they could get it done. But we haven't heard anything out of the Gary Russell camp about wanting to fight Warrington. So I don't think this fight happens next. I would love to see it, though. Number 4, former 2-division world champion Carl Frampton, which would be a rematch. It's a domestic rivalry. These two guys were talking about rematching anyway sometime this year. I do think this fight's a possibility. Frampton's coming back on November 30th. Stay busy type of fight. He hasn't fought since he lost to Warrington last year. I think a rematch is possible for early next year. They're both promoted by Top Rank. It's an easy fight to make. So I think a rematch would draw a lot of money. And I think Warrington wants other options first, but I think a rematch, he'd be down for a rematch because it's a domestic rivalry, and he's going to make a pretty good chunk of change by fighting Frampton again. So I do think this fight's possible. Number 5, undefeated, former WBO champion Oscar Valdez. Warrington and him would be a great fight, but Valdez is moving up to 130 officially, so this fight's off the table. Number 6 is Kid Galahad, which would be a rematch for Warrington. Warrington just fought him. It was kind of an ugly fight. He got a split decision in that fight, so I don't think there's really interest for Warrington to face Galahad again, but it actually could happen if Warrington doesn't find another optional opponent, because Galahad's fighting Claudio Marrero next in a final eliminator, and the winner is going to get an immediate shot at Warrington. So, but I don't believe this is next for Warrington. I believe this is going to be the following fight, a possible rematch with Galahad. So I'll make that clear. Number 7 is Su Can of China, the WBA regular champion. I think this fight is makeable. I think, a good enough offer, this fight could happen. But Can has is fighting undefeated Manny Robles on November 23rd. If he gets by him, I think Top Rank would probably make a pretty decent size offer to Can. But I don't know if Can has a mandatory due after after that fight, so we just got to wait and see. But I do think it is possible if he doesn't. And then number 8 is Tug Nyambayar of Mongolia. I don't see Warrington and him going at it. I think it's a possibility, but Nyambayar is a PBC guy, and also he's a mandatory at the WBC belt right now, which is held by Gary Russell. So I think he's probably going to wait around for that fight instead, because you got Top Rank and PBC working together. It's hard for those two sides to work together. So I don't see that fight. Number 9 is Jesus Rojas. If Warrington wanted to test himself, Rojas is a great guy to test himself against. But I think Warrington's looking for a bigger fight than this. I think, looking at Rojas, kind of high risk, low reward, because Rojas isn't a big name and he's dangerous. He's a threat. I would love to see the fight, though, so I do think it's kind of a back burner possibility for Warrington. So there's always that option. And then, two-way tie for 10th, you got Shakur Stevenson. I think, who's about to fight Joaquin Gonzalez for the vacant WBO title. If Warrington really wants a big fight, why not take on Stevenson next? It's an easy fight to make. They're both with Top Rank. If Stevenson becomes a world champion, they're both undefeated world champions. Why not? So I think Warrington, if he really wants to make a big fight, this is the ultimate test to find out if he really does want a big fight. Because it's a unification bout. Stevenson's got a good size name. They're both undefeated champions. Why not? So I think this fight is possible, but we're going to see how much Warrington really wants it. And then also still tied for 10th is Jesse Magdaleno. You know what? I could see this fight happening because they're both top-ranked guys. It'd be an easy fight to make. I think Magdaleno might fight again before the end of the year. But then again, I could also see Magdaleno getting rushed to the front of the line to face Warrington. So, I do think this fight's a possibility. So there's a couple guys from Top Rank that I think are possible for him next. I think the Stevenson fight makes the most sense. I would love to see that one. I think a rematch with Carl Frampton probably is his second option. Possibly a showdown with Jesse Magdaleno or Isaac Dogbe. But, we just got to wait and see. But I think Warrington is going to try to tune it up and face a top 10 guy next if he can get one of those guys to get in the ring with him. So that's it, guys. That's the What's Next on Josh Warrington, the undefeated IBF Featherweight champion. Hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing, been hit with the truth.